Mario, your guys kind of embraced that take the pack mantra before the season. Halfway through now, tied for first place in the division. Is that something you address with your team, either in terms of what it takes to get there, or maybe not focusing on it too much at this point?
Yeah, not. I think that's something in the off season you talk about so that they understand it. But once you get into the season, you are going week to week. You always address it because it's out there and they're going to hear it, right? They're always going to hear that this thing's a tight race and going to be a tight race and how wide open the Pac-12 is, not to mention the North Division. But immediately bring it right back down to earth and to the focus that we use every single week is understanding that we need to win tomorrow's practice. The Tuesday, Wednesday practice for us is the ultimate difference maker for us in our process and our program. And it really is that simple. I know it sounds boring and certainly not interesting at all, but for us, because of where we are and how we're developing, it's completely tied into how we play on Saturday. I mean, tomorrow's practice on Wednesday. We play a game, maybe a game and a half on Tuesday and Wednesday, but it's it's part of what they now trust and believe in, and we're going with it full throttle.
Middle, Jerry.
Yeah, Coach, a question about defensive back play and your philosophy. I noticed in the Washington State USC game that I think 3 times Washington State defensive backs got hit in the back of the helmet by passes. They didn't turn to look for the ball. They get pass interference calls. And, it seems like that happens a lot, that DBs don't turn and look for the ball when they could get an interception. In that vein, your philosophy in that regard, considering the long kind of pass that Browning threw and Thomas Graham seemed to have position on the receiver and then for some reason went behind him. I don't know if I'm interpreting that right, but would you say he should have cut in front of him and maybe got the interception, or because behind him?
Thomas's play,
yeah.
The actual play itself, yeah. That's a long and lonely track and a very unforgiving world when you're out there playing the field, and that thing comes all the way across the field. So it's a lot of grass to defend by yourself, and we understand when they get you in that coverage, that's what comes with it. And the way that throw came out, the angle of the route changed a little bit too. How to defend it? Yeah, you got to undercut it, all right, to get yourself between the receiver and the football itself, cut the flight path of the ball, and go up and make a play. Easier said than done. Easier said than done, but plenty of stuff to coach off the tape. He's a diligent student of the game, so and every single week he gets better and better, and he's a really good football player. So, stuff that we work on and we'll continue working on.
Eric on the left. Looking through the numbers there, Gardner Minshew, I think 313 pass attempts, just 4 interceptions. How good has he been this year? And then also just how difficult is it to prepare for a team that throws it about 3/4 of the time?
He's been excellent now. I mean, I think his completion percentage is at 68, 69%. Something of that nature. The left tackle is a big time player on a very good offensive line, so they protect him really well. The ball is gone now. So the problem is if you allow that to lull your defensive line to sleep. All right, when he does drop back and does his quick 5 stuff or his shot stuff, what they call, he's going to have a lot of time to throw the ball. So you've got to stay relentless to him. When the ball's gone, you got to go relentless to the ball. But he is very decisive. And he gets it out quick. And I'm talking about just not the decision, but his actual mechanics. The ball is gone. It's gone. He's a 6'3" guy, so he's a good sized guy that can see over those big offensive linemen. But he knows where he's going with the football. Changing the picture on him is important because if he knows exactly what you're in, he can dial it up. Now that being said, you watch them over the years and they'll attack defenses as to what they see is there. So, yeah, they like to throw the ball. It's obvious they've got the top passing offense in the conference, one of the best in the country, if not the best. But they will run the ball, and their running backs are really talented guys. Those big splits are challenging. Naturally, they create a lot of air right there, a lot of grass. So if you get a hat on a hat and give those guys some room, they could do some damage. And I mentioned it before, their running backs, they do a great job in the passing game. That's a big challenge. When those guys start motioning out of the backfield, start lining them up as the one spot or the 2, the slot receiver. Now they start working on, some guys that aren't used to being out there in space and covering them. So there's a lot of stuff they do that presents some challenges. So our guys, we have to burn our eyes on film. I mean, nonstop. Our guys have to really just burn our eyes watching film and watching formations, watching everything that relates to, how they've and what they've done to have success.
Right back, Alex.
Coach, your offense is leading the Pac-12 in third down conversion rate at this point in the season and had a number of fourth down conversions last week as well. What's gone into that success on the most critical downs this season?
Sure, a couple things is extensive offseason studies. We're a very different offense than we were last year. I mean, it's just a very different, schematically, philosophically, very different. Credit to the offensive coaches and the offensive players. The investment in third down game planning and red zone game planning has really gone through the roof. It helped us this last Saturday. We were 4 for 4 in terms of touchdowns in the red zone, and our numbers on third down keep going up because. And it's not everyone thinks, well, you're just creating a matchup for Dillon Mitchell. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. Now he does get open, and if you're a quarterback, you're going to throw it to the open guy. But we try to stress certain parts of the defense. We try to, when we recognize a tendency, and it's no different than anybody else, we just really try to stress those tendencies by what we do. And a lot of times it complements our base scheme as it is. Sometimes it doesn't. But Marcus has done an extraordinary amount of work and study on third down football, this offseason, and all that carryover is really starting to pay off. And Justin eats it up. He's a student of the game. The rest of our offensive guys, they love that kind of stuff. They live for it. And when you have bright guys with high football IQs, that playbook could keep expanding, and that's what's happening.